An interjection is a word or group of words that are added to the sentence to express feeling. Here are some examples of common interjections. Words like ah, awesome, wow, yes or no, okay, well. These words are generally at the beginning of the sentence and are set off with a comma. Bailey whispered to Kevin, wow, this new teacher is mean. My interjection is wow, so I need a comma. Kevin whispered back, shh, I don't want to get in trouble. My interjection is shh, so I need a comma. When Mrs. Clark heard him, she said, well, it looks like Kevin would like to be paddled. My interjection is well, so I need a comma. No, I would rather not, Kevin called out. My interjection is no, so I need a comma. Oh, I didn't think that you would, she cackled. My interjection is oh, so I need a comma. A series is a list. Use commas to separate items in a series. Mrs. Clark ate apples, candy, and chips right in front of the hungry students. Apples, candy, and chips are all nouns, so this is a noun series. Jeff suddenly stood up from his desk, walked out the classroom door, and wandered down the hallway. Jeff is taking 3 different actions here. He stood up from his desk, comma, walked out the classroom door, comma, and wandered down the hallway. So this is a verb series. Don't forget the comma before the and. You'll notice that this is a really common mistake that you'll see. Mrs. Clark told the rest of the students to keep working quickly, quietly, and happily while she went to find Jeff. We have 3 adverbs being listed here. Quickly, comma, quietly, comma, and happily. When writing a series, make sure that you have parallel construction. You have to list the same sorts of things using the same sorts of structure. So for example, if I say Mrs. Clark leapt out of her chair, stormed down the hallway, and was looking for Jeff, I do not have parallel construction. If I'm going to make a list, I have to have the same verb form. Leapt, stormed, was looking is a different verb form. So to correct this, I should write, Mrs. Clark leapt out of her chair, stormed down the hallway, and looked for Jeff. Notice I changed was looking to looked so that it matched the rest of my sentence. An adjective series is something a little bit trickier. Use a comma if more than one adjective is listed before the noun it modifies. Think of the comma as taking the place of an and. Most of the class thought that Jeff was a cool, courageous kid. Instead of saying cool and courageous, we take a shortcut in the English language. We put a comma in between the 2 adjectives instead of using and. We can do this as long as they come before the noun they are modifying. However, some students thought Jeff was a very silly and prudent boy. My adjective series is silly, comma, imprudent. Mrs. Clark was clearly a mean, unreasonable teacher. Jeff would be in big trouble for leaving the room without permission. I have an adjective series here, mean, comma, unreasonable teacher. Now, of course, there are some exceptions. Here are 3 steps to help you out. Number 1, do not use a comma if it sounds strange to put and in place of the comma. Remember, that's what these commas are doing in an adjective series. They're placeholders for the and. So if it doesn't sound right to put an and in, then you probably are not looking at an adjective series. Number 2, do not use a comma if you cannot reverse the order of the adjectives. And number 3, no comma if age or color is next to the noun. Let's take a look. Jeff found his way to the large snack machine. It looks like I could have an adjective series here. I have large and snack, telling me what kind of machine. But actually, in this case, snack machine is working as a compound word. The way I can figure this out is to try my test. I wouldn't say Jeff found his way to the large and snack machine. Large and snack machine does not sound right and is a big verbal clue that snack is not being used as an adjective here. It's actually being used as a compound noun. Test number 1 has already shown me that I do not need a comma, but let's try test number 2 as well. Test number 2 asks me to reverse the order. Jeff found his way to the snack large machine. That does not make sense at all. So once again, I'm realizing that I do not need a comma here. And then of course, number 3, age or color next to the noun. Do not have age or color, but we failed our other 2 tests, so we know that we do not have a comma here. The shiny blue Oreos wrapper seemed to glimmer in the light. I have shiny and blue before Oreos. However, when I work through my list, number 3, age or color next to the noun. Here I have a color, blue. This is just one of those exceptions that we have to learn. Age or color next to the noun, no comma. And when I say age, that doesn't just mean 16-year-old or 12-year-old. It also means a word like young or old. Let's try out our tests. Jeff was just about to put a bright and shiny quarter. That works. Let's try reversing it. Jeff was just about to put a shiny bright quarter. That works as well. Is shiny an age or a color? No. So I do need a comma here. Let's look at the second half of the sentence. Into the machine when his angry, miserable teacher arrived. Let's try the test. His angry and miserable teacher. That works. His miserable, angry teacher. That also works. Miserable is not age or color, so I do need a comma. You are a rude, insolent boy, she barked. Only a disrespectful young man would leave his seat without permission. I have 2 adjectives here, rude, insolent boy. Let's try our test. You are a rude and insolent boy. Sounds good. You are an insolent, rude boy. That works. Is insolent age or color? It isn't, so we need a comma. Let's look at disrespectful young man. Only a disrespectful and young man. That kind of sounds a little bit funny, but let's keep going. Only a young disrespectful man. Also sounds a little odd to me. Then let's look at the adjective before the noun, young. Young is actually age. Remember our rule about age or color next to the noun. That means no comma. Notice that our first 2 tests also gave us a little bit of a clue that something wasn't quite right there.